All right. I don't know. Maybe Mary Matalin has an MD somewhere in her name that I'm not aware of, but she's, of course, the great Republican political consultant, former advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, and former campaign director for President George W. Bush. Hello, Mary.
Hello, Steve. And I have a honorary MD from serving with Dick Cheney as long as I did.
Yes,
and
yes.
I have to say, I'm insulted on a level that might not be familiar to your listeners, which is Cheney's hospital was staked out. His caregivers were infiltrated. We had to release every detail. I mean, it's just the way this is being covered, but not with the demands for the revelations that were required of Dick Cheney. Now, I have another perspective on this. I have traveled. I've been the body man when people are running. I was with George H.W. Bush when he had Graves' disease at the end of the 92 campaign. And these guys, people running for president, do have a grit that is way beyond anything that we have, even though we all know how to play hurt and go to work sick and such. They just keep going, and it's a detriment to their ultimate health, I have to say. When Bush was pushing us so hard when he was so sick, we all got walking pneumonia on the plane, and the doctor on Air Force One quarantined all of us. So I can see where she would still push herself. But the thing I learned in both of those instances is the way Cheney dealt with his health issues, and none of us are invincible, is he did pace himself, and he did pay attention to the medical advice. She seems not to be doing that, including something as easy as hydrating, drinking water, for Pete's sake. So I'm looking at this from a slightly different perspective, but I also think from a purely strategic perspective, for everybody who's so concerned about the vaunted invincibility of the Clinton apparatchiks and their operation, they certainly didn't know how to handle this one. And given that it's not like she's not been ill or had health issues before, you would have thought they would have been had a better response mechanism in place to deal with something like this, because it looks like it's going to be recurring.
Right. I mean, I personally don't believe that it's pneumonia. That caused her to pass out. Whether or not she has pneumonia, first of all, if you're diagnosed on Friday, like you said, if it were Cheney or Bush or a Republican or Trump, they'd want to know what hospital, where did you get the X-ray that confirmed pneumonia? Is it double? Is it single? What kind of bacteria? Are you on medication? None of this has come up from the media.
They would have demanded the medication. They would have demanded, as we had to in every instance, give a full-blown press conference with the doctor. They would have tried to infiltrate in nefarious ways the staff. I don't mean her personal staff. I mean the medical staff. Yeah, but of course we all know the double standards. But it is incumbent upon the candidates who want to run for the leader of the free world to assure us that their health is sufficient and up to the task. Now, I did resent the accusation that Cheney could not do the job. He had been dealing with his heart issues since he was 37.
Right.
He knew what to do, and he knew how to respond immediately. If he had a twitch in his little finger, he knew what to do.
Right.
She seems to be irresponsibly exactly the opposite. Whatever they're telling her to do, she does. She eschews that advice. I think that's another indication of careless and reckless, negligent behavior, which seems to be her MO.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so let's talk about the basket full of despicables. So I forgot to welcome you. Deplorables. Right.
Deplorable me.
Right. So
Yes.
Deplorable Mary, deplorable Steve, and you know what Trump did yesterday in bringing up on stage at his event last night, I thought was just wonderful. You had the first people he brought up was a black couple, and he stood there. The black man, the African American gentleman, stood there and said, I do not represent deplorable people, and neither does my wife. And then you had another woman come up, and people from all races and creeds. And I just think this is going to continue to haunt her.
Well, again, I will I will revert to my original thought on liberalism in general, and to a sad extent, some conservatism. The extent to which they are the Beltway or the ruling class is detached from Americans, the whole rise of the Tea Party, and hence Donald Trump subsequent to it, was the perception, the right perception, the correct perception of the flyover country, that its rulers, the ruling class, reject all of their values. If you disagree, if you want secure borders, you're a xenophobe. If you believe in traditional marriage, you're a homophobe. I could go on and on. If you don't like the Obamacare, you're a bigot. I mean, and people just resent that. It all falls under the umbrella of political correctness, and that's how Donald Trump launched in the first place. So they're hardly strategic geniuses. They think this is the way to get to 50% plus one. It's what spawned the two successive midterm tsunami elections for conservatives.
Right, and they're not backing down from it. They all she said was she's sorry. She said 50% because she really believes it's 100%. But they're not backing down. In her campaign, people, her surrogates, are defending what she said.
Well, so they're doubling down on their doofusness. I don't know what to say. Again, this is the same vote determinant behavior that spawned those midterm elections, the majority of conservative governors, the majority of unified state legislative chambers. I don't know who they think or let's just say, it kind of pains me to even think about this. What if she were to be successful in her effort? What is her mandate? What is her mandate to govern, to even if she thinks they're 30 or 40% deplorables, what is she going to deport the deplorables? what is the mandate for this kind of view?
Well, I have
American people.
I'd like to say something, but I won't. I have a theory, but I'm not at liberty to say it. What she would like to do with people. Yeah, deport is one thing, but I'll leave that for another day. Anyway, Mary, it's always great to talk to you. Feel better, fully recover from whatever it is that you were suffering from. I always want Mary Matalin to be strong and healthy and out there.
I'm not suffering. I had a little cough, and it's from smoking too much.
Oh, well, that's okay. Well, then don't. Well, here's another. Then don't smoke. You never heard that before. Don't smoke.
E-cigarettes. They're e-cigarettes.
All
Bye,
right,
darling.
Mary, take care. Mary Matalin, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, Republican Congressman from the great state of Iowa, Steve King, will be here. Don't go away.